Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Kishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, senior health officials are sharing more information tonight on the impact of that bacteria discovered at the Princess Margaret Hospital's neonatal intensive care unit. 2 babies died and 8 tested positive for the infection. Tonight, Altavis Munnings reports that Princess Margaret Hospital officials say they'll ensure that the bacteria is contained and that there have been no new cases.
Medical Chief of Staff Dr. Jeffrey Penniman led Tuesday afternoon's press conference on the Acinetobacter baumannii bacteria that was found in the neonatal intensive care unit here at the Princess Margaret Hospital. It was on July 18th when the hospital's infections control officer discovered the bacteria. That's when an officer notified hospital management. That's when medical officials declared an outbreak. The timeline also goes on to show that steps were immediately taken to contain the spread of the disease, and an investigation was immediately launched.
The organism that we're talking about is one that is waterborne. It likes water. All the water-containing equipment, such as, say, a humidifier on a mechanical ventilator, and the hoses that may be attempted to it, that may be attached to it, rather, all of those were tested, and we did not find this organism in those areas. I'm sorry to say, at this point in time, we can't say with any certainty exactly how it started. We know we've got it. We did test the air conditioning systems for it, and we thought that there was some suspicious activity on the coils, but we are awaiting confirmation on what was there.
Continued screening revealed that 5 of the infants are colonized. That's when the bacteria is present in the swab areas and not causing a disease, but they're all stable. Hospital staff also confirmed that all of the babies affected by the bacteria were less than 2 weeks old. Now, when the bacteria was initially discovered in the first baby, the child was isolated, however, later died on July 4th. The second baby died on July 17th. The senior medical officials couldn't specify the nationality of each baby, but they did indicate that hospital staff has spoken to the families of the premature babies who died and that only 1 baby is now being treated with antibiotics. Hospital officials assure the families of the babies who were tested positive that they are receiving optimum care.
When we were children, we got plenty more infections than we get now. Children cannot fight off infections. A newborn is worse than us as little kids. These premature babies basically can't fight off anything. So we're aware of that. We're always looking for infections.
Acinetobacter enters the body through open wounds, catheters, and breathing tubes. The last time the Princess Margaret Hospital experienced an Acinetobacter outbreak was back in 1996, and it's unlikely that the bacteria will spread throughout the hospital. Meanwhile, senior hospital officials maintain that all of the babies tested positive in the 2012 outbreak are expected to live normal lives. The senior medical officials confirmed that none of the babies infected by the Acinetobacter bacteria had to be airlifted abroad for further treatment. They also confirmed that no other infection or bacteria is being investigated here at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Now, reporters questioned the senior medical officials why an executive from the Public Hospitals Authority, or the Minister of Health for that matter, was present at the press conference. They responded that these senior health officials were confident that the technical health team was able to adequately answer all of the reporters' questions. Now, Princess Margaret Hospital officials want to assure the public that they are doing everything they can to investigate this incident, and they maintain that no other incidents will be seen here at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Altavis Munnings, ZNS News.
An international credit ratings agency launching an investigation into the proposed bid by the government to regain majority share of the Bahamas telecommunications company. Moody's says not only would the move drive up government debt, but raises questions about just how the government will go about acquiring the majority ownership. Unmoved by the announcement, Prime Minister Christie said the economy and the people of the Bahamas will benefit. Shanique Miller has more.
Moody's wants to know if it makes sense for the government to renationalize the Bahamas Telecommunications Company. The International Credit Ratings Agency wonders if the move to regain controlling shares will not expand government debt, considering Moody's estimation that it will cost $250 million to regain majority shares. But talks of an investigation doesn't bother Prime Minister Christie. In fact, he says he's been forthright with the Bahamian people of the government's intention, and this decision is one grounded in the election results.
Reacquiring BEC will be able to give the people of our country the very clear indication that we are making the right decisions with respect to our national institutions. And whether it's BEC, whether it's BTC, whether it's Water Corporation, whether it's Bahamas Air, any of the institutions, I happen to always philosophically believe that you never take a population faster than its capacity to absorb change.
Prime Minister Christie says the government's bid to renationalize BTC is about a few things: driving the economy forward, stimulating the job market, and creating economic opportunities.
Yes, when the roles are reversed, BTC will even make more money, but more people will have confidence in the process. I am driving myself to do that. I expect good results. I am indicating those results as we go on. I expect to continue to be able to do so in the immediate future, because the intention is to bring relief to our economy, and Moody's should be ecstatic about that. And I presume whenever I have the opportunity to sit with them, I will be able to so communicate.
Now, the Prime Minister has announced that his administration will not proceed with the public share offering that was planned by the former administration. BTC has enjoyed a 3-year monopoly which expires in 2013. So what will BTC's future look like once owned by the Bahamian people once again? Well, Christie says BTC has proven its track record of success, and that's while enjoying a monopoly. But he says his government between 2002 and 2007 proved it has the right ideas to grow the company.
We fiberized the islands of the Bahamas. We put fiber optic cables for $68 million throughout the Bahamas, and that laid the basis for BTC to claim the success they're doing it. But when I came to office, it was like $4.8 million in the bank. When I left, it was $148 million in the bank.
Those talks to negotiate regaining controlling shares of BTC are set for August. Former BTC CEO Leon Williams, attorney Rowena Bethel, businessman Franklin Wilson, and former Attorney General Sean McQueenie make up the government's team.
I have had the most cordial of discussions with the leaders of BTC Now, Cable and Wireless, with a view to giving them the complete assurance that we are partners one way or the other. I think we are in as good a position as we can be in right now, considering everything, and most certainly there is no adversarial or hostile intent on the part of the government. This is simply a question of making adjustments, and I'm trying to, in the most accountable way, to do it. So there are no secrets, no hidden agendas, just simply moving forward and in the best interest of ourselves and BTC.
And as for the BTC and Cable and Wireless management team, the Prime Minister says he expects the same excellent standard as always. Shanique Miller, ZNS News.
South Andros Member of Parliament Picewell Forbes has been appointed Bahamas High Commissioner to CARICOM. Prime Minister Christie announced the appointment today at the House of Assembly, one of several diplomatic appointments he says will be announced in the next 30 days. Mr. Christie says Mr. Forbes is well suited and qualified for the position.
The ambassador to CARICOM is an important post for the Bahamas. Amen. I told the foreign minister when we were in opposition that as soon as we were back in office, we would have to travel the region to ensure that our friends in the region knew that the Bahamas was back and re-engaged in the region. Our new ambassador will be charged with assisting in that responsibility. He brings a unique set of skills to do so and to support that mandate.
Mr. Forbes thanked Mr. Christie for the opportunity, which will require him to oversee all of the bilateral affairs related to CARICOM countries.
That of representing the Bahamas in negotiations and discussions with the government of CARICOM countries, and other regional bodies in the Caribbean, and in particular the Caribbean Community Secretariat. Also to outline and publicize the policies and activities of the Bahamian government. Also that of monitoring developments in policy, law, and political, economic, and social spheres of the CARICOM community, and report on their possible implications for the Bahamian society. Also of note, that of fostering and promoting friendly relations, including the development of economic, political, and cultural relations between the Bahamas and CARICOM.
Now, during that press conference, Mr. Forbes declined comment on talk that he'd been overlooked by the Prime Minister for a chairmanship. This is what the Prime Minister said on that.
Piceville Forbes has a lot of support amongst his colleagues. Piceville Forbes himself has so many friends who are interested, who are working at the Broadcasting Corporation, who are interested in working at the Broadcasting Corporation. He said, "Let this cup pass my lips." That's what he said to me. I said to him over and over, "You are ideal for it," and he would have been appointed chairman, he would have been executive chairman, but he said, "Let this cup pass my lips, Prime Minister. I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to be this with my friends or that with my friends."
Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell will respond tomorrow to the report of the Organization of American States, OAS, on the May 7th general elections. The most noteworthy observation referred to the fact that 18,500 more women than men registered to vote, and why that statistic is unsettling to the OAS.
One is that the report indicates that participation by women, even though significantly statistically higher than the participation by men, did not translate into members of the House of Assembly or into public office as a result of elections. I think 5 women ended up being members of Parliament, which represents about 14% of the Parliament or of the House of Assembly, and women make up more than 50% of the population.
Well, Mr. Mitchell gave this preview of his response.
We'll make a public commitment on improving the participation of women in public office, and at the same time seek to try and discover why men are not registering to vote, and whether this is part of a trend which the report indicates is consistent with what is happening throughout the region, why that is in the Bahamas, and whether this is something that ought to be reversed, and some public education needs to be done about this fact.
Parliamentarians meet tomorrow to begin looking at legislation which will execute the social, economic, and crime agenda of the Christie administration. Also included in tomorrow's agenda, a move to introduce a committee which will pave the way toward the country's 40th anniversary of independence celebrations. Meantime, Prime Minister Christie says the Constitutional Committee will offer Bahamians the opportunity to be in step with changes.
I want to be able to, with the consent of the opposition, if it's possible, to announce the Constitutional Commission, which will be given a far-reaching mandate heading for the 40th anniversary of the country. And so the country will see that we are deathly serious when it comes down to ensuring that we give the country an opportunity to examine the changes and the opportunity for changes that will exist. So you can look forward to that intervention tomorrow, in addition to the legislation that we're going to debate.